Hello and welcome into this edition of Generals on Deck, brought to you by West Tennessee Motor Coach. Been a while since we've done this. I'm Brandon Liebhaber. He's Chris Klein, Hans Schultz. We are the broadcasters for your Jackson Generals, and hopefully you're enjoying this Thursday night at the ballpark. We are at the Bud Light Bullpen Bar. Bud Light, here's to baseball. We'll talk about Dollar Night in a second, but first, Chris, we're going to talk about some baseball, and the theme tonight really is new faces and familiar faces. New faces for the Jackson Generals. Jim Horner, who had been the team's manager since 2014, recently accepted a position at Washington State University, his alma mater, as an assistant. So longtime MLB veteran and former hitting coach of the Generals has now assumed managerial duties. Howell, with a lot of experience throughout many levels of baseball. He managed AAA Tacoma last year in the Mariners organization, and now he takes the helm for Jackson at the AA level. And just yesterday it was announced that Brant Brown, another guy with big league experience, would take over as the hitting coach for the rest of the season.
Yeah. Howell, not a new face, but certainly a new role this season. After working with this team as a hitting coach, now he's going to be the manager for the final couple months of the season. And Brant Brown had been in the Mariners organization, roving between the different minor league levels as an outfield coordinator, and he had some big league experience in the outfield, particularly with the Chicago Cubs in the late 90s. So those are two nice changes for the coaching staff. Obviously, it's disappointing to have Jim Horner go, although it's a fantastic opportunity for him at his alma mater. But Howell's a very experienced person to take over that manager role, and Brant Brown should be a welcome addition to this coaching staff as well.
Absolutely, and we wish our best to Jim Horner in Washington State. He was fantastic to work with, but we're also looking forward to being around this new staff, which has a combined 26 years of MLB experience as players. Now, moving to the familiar faces, they're on Mobile, but two guys who spent a lot of time with Jackson this year, Gabriel Guerrero and Jack Reinheimer, have both featured in all 6 games that these two squads have played this year. That was part of a big trade back at the beginning of June. They were both sent to the Arizona Diamondbacks organization in exchange for Mark Trumbo and Vidal Nuno, and both had big games last night, Chris.
They seemed right at home in their first games back at the ballpark at Jackson. Guerrero and Reinheimer combined for 3 base hits, including a double by Guerrero off the left field wall just behind us right here. And then beyond that, a couple runs scored, Reinheimer with a sacrifice fly, and his usual stellar defense at shortstop. Obviously, it was tough to be against the Generals as it turned into an 8-0 Mobile win, but there's still now these chances for the Generals to possibly pick up wins in the final 2 games of this series and possibly to get a series victory.
Both of those players had played in 48 of 51 games with Jackson prior to being traded on June the 3rd. Dominic Leone, another guy who has time here in Jackson, part of that trade, and he is also now with the Mobile Bay Bears. You talked about the baseball, but now let's get to some of the promotions over these 2 games. This is a big 3-game homestand for Jackson and the fans. You guys should have an awful lot of fun. Tonight is Dollar Night presented by State Farm agent Wes Harris. That means $1 general admission tickets, $1 hot dogs, popcorn, 12-ounce soda, and domestic beer. And then tomorrow, of course, is our big celebration, July 3rd, Independence Day, and it's going to be a big one here at the ballpark at Jackson.
Yeah, this year does come a day early, Friday, July 3rd. First pitch is at 7:05 p.m., but after the game, fireworks on an evening presented by Community Bank. Also performances by the First Circus and the Pamela K. Ward Band, courtesy of U92 FM. It's going to be a lot of action at the ballpark, even outside the lines, but between the lines, we're hoping for some good games as well to close out this series, in addition to all the great promotions we have.
And this team will be wearing special patriotic uniforms for Friday night's game, and they will be auctioned off. You have a chance to win those by bidding online. Proceeds will go to the 30th SAB Association, so hopefully you can join us. If not, or if you have to leave early, you can always listen to Chris and myself on your new flagship home for the Jackson Generals this season, the TJ Network in Jackson, AM 1390, FM 94.1, and 94.3. You can also listen via the TuneIn radio app. Thanks so much for tuning into this edition of Generals on Deck, presented by West Tennessee Motor Coach. Jackson going for a win against the Mobile Bay Bears tonight at the ballpark of Jackson. For Chris Klein, Hans Schultz, and everybody with the Jackson Generals, I'm Brandon Liebhaber saying so long and have fun tonight.